Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Scottish Football Social Club on Premier Sports. We're away down in the bottom left. There we go. Now we've got a full screen Michael. Nobody needs that, by the way, to start a programme on a Monday night. Anyway, no doubt a busy hour ahead. The transfer window closes 11 p.m. in Scotland tonight. It closes anywhere where there's a bank holiday, Michael. Okay, usually 7 p.m. when there's a bank holiday. Right, a reminder, we are live on YouTube and X. If you've got any questions, do send them in. If they're about some of the new signings or some of the foreign players that are linked with Scottish clubs tonight, then the boys will probably know absolutely nothing about them. But send the questions in anyway, because we love putting them on the spot. Alan Hutton and Michael Stewart are here, as they are every single Monday, by the way. And a big thanks to our sponsors, SBK, as always. The Scottish Football Social Club is brought to you in association with SBK and Premier Sports. SBK, a betting app that cuts out the nonsense, just straight up sports betting for folk who actually care about the game. Proper odds, no gimmicks. Right, let's get this show on the road because there is so much to get through. We've got our first extra guest of the night waiting to come on. It's Stiliyan Petrov, the Celtic legend. More importantly, a former teammate of Alan Hutton as well. Always great to see you, Stan. Have you got any juice on Alan for us? Anything to embarrass him just to kick us off tonight?
And a good friend. Never forget that, Darrell. Yeah. A very good friend. Now, listen, in that household, Kylie is my favorite person, so I can. She can party better. She got better humor, better jokes. So
I'm 40 now, Stan. I'm 40. Do you know what I mean? I'm getting a little bit older, long in the tooth. So it is what it is. It happens to us all.
Now, listen, Darrell. We've played together. We shared some incredible times. I remember when Alan broke his leg. I reached to him. I spoke to him regarding recovery and, wishing him all the best. Even we were playing again. I was playing for Celtic. He was playing for Rangers. But I knew what he was going through. And, down the line, we managed to play together, to become very good friends as well. So my respect to Alan and his family. It's great.
Lovely, Stiliyan. See, that's how we start a show. That's how we start.
That's the sign of a good friend, Al.
Yes. Wasn't willing to fall into your trap. So that's what I like.
So we'll get two Villa legends and Michael on the show as well tonight. and by the way, the two of you, Villa could have done with you yesterday, but that's a whole other programme, a whole other story. Right, let's talk about what the fans want to hear us talking about tonight, Stiliyan, okay? We'll come to the Rangers Celtic game in a moment, but of course, all eyes are on the end of this transfer window. And I think the pressure is somewhat mounting on the Celtic board, isn't it? Because I think everyone's checking to see on X if there's any updates, any players signed yet. And there's a few deals that look like they were close that aren't done yet. So there's a bit of pressure on them, Stiliyan.
Yes, I understand where the panic comes from. I think the fans, even the manager, Brendan Rodgers, he's been beating the drums for many weeks now about potential recruitment and giving the team a little bit of help. You can see how many players, good and important players, has left the club. I don't think the club has managed to replace them. And we're into the last day of the transfer window, and it's still uncertainty. I totally understand why all the issues and the pressure and the questions regarding new signings. We can't run away from the truth and tell you that Celtic do need to recruit, and I hope they can do it in the last couple of hours, because you can see, obviously, with the Kairat's score and not making the Champions League, the fans are a little bit tension about what could expect this season, and I think the board has to pull their finger out and sign players, help Brendan Rodgers and help the team. Watching the game, you see a centre half going into a left back, and you're having Maeda playing in wide and then using him as a striker. Not just try to rotate players, try to get the best out of them rather than play them in their best position, which makes a big problem. And Alan and Stuart can tell you as well, when you start rotating players and ask them to do stuff that they're not comfortable with, then that affects the team. And you can see all the question regarding the scoring goals and, creating opportunity, it makes a big issue for Celtic.
Do you think, Stiliyan, the board were waiting to find out if Celtic, made the Champions League, and we're obviously looking at the draw and assuming that they would make it in the Carrot Almaty game? I know you were working in that game, you were watching, was a huge shock. But equally, you do worry now, I suppose, Stan, that this late in the window, a few of the players, that the top targets that Brendan Rodgers had, were also waiting to find out if Celtic made the Champions League. And as soon as they didn't, and they dropped down a tier, if you like, to the Europa League, there's a few players out there, they might be changing their minds. It also becomes a bit of a harder sell, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course. And that's always going to be the issue. People moving to Scotland, and no disrespect, guys, that's always been the case. And everybody's looking Celtic and Rangers to, if they're in the Champions League, and the sooner you don't make that Champions League, players are a little bit more reluctant. But I just don't understand one thing, why Celtic left it so late. I think they had plenty of time to sign players to make sure that the team is compact for the start of the season, and especially for the playoff round for the Champions League. I don't think you should risk with timings and players in this period. You should be able to build. If we talk about a club who don't have the finances, then we can understand the issues. But I don't think the finances are the problem for Celtic, and this is where all the questions are coming in. Why the board is not spending the money? Why those players haven't been bought and brought into Celtic before that game? And it's a big minus for Celtic, not getting to the Champions League. And we've been in the last transfer window sagas, and that it's not going to be only one team who's going to put bids. Everybody's looking for the players. And obviously the players now, the clubs, they're looking into Celtic situation, the pressure from the fans, the pressure on the board, signing players, so they can hold for bigger fees.
Stan, do you think?
Yeah, I wanted
to
ask Stan about, in terms of forgetting about players coming in, if you were in the changing room now at Celtic, how affected do you think you personally, I know obviously you're not there now, but in your time, if you were in this position at Celtic where, for example, Henrik Larsson had been sold and hadn't been replaced, and then you're looking at Adam Ida, Chris Sutton's gone as well, and you're thinking to yourself, as a player that's still at the club, what's your thoughts on what's going on?
Frustration. If you have the ambitions to achieve and play for a club that want to go and achieve greater things, especially in Europe, frustration is really big, because I always believe as a player you always need fresher voices, new players to come into the team to give you a little bit freshness, to give you a little bit of help, different dynamic in the team. So I love seeing the new players, big players, important players who fit into the team and make the difference. So it's a big frustration there from the players. I know we as a players, when we play for a club, we don't say, we can't say, we cannot say, but the frustration is really big.
Stan, do you think, like, looking at Celtic from the outside in, they've kind of taken that playoff round a little bit lightly, if you know what I mean? Thinking that we're normally in there always, but we need to go through this playoff. We maybe don't need those big signings yet. I think they should have done it early, but maybe they're looking at it thinking, we've got enough in the building now to get through it, and then it's kind of came to bite them in the backside, basically, by not bringing anybody in.
I hope that's not the reason, because if you look at, I follow the football in Kazakhstan quite closely, because we had one of the best Bulgarian manager. He was managing Astana, and then he was managing the Kazakhstan national team. So I'm quite understandable about the football and the money they're spending, what they're trying to achieve. They've changed a lot of their policies about investment into the football clubs now as well. So I hope they haven't underestimated the game, because Kairat and Astana, two of the biggest clubs there, they do spend money. They do get to those kind of rounds because they deserve. And I was not surprised the way Kairat play. Usually the manager, he's actually going through his pro license at the moment. He don't even have the pro license at the moment. That's interesting thing. But you know what? He was very well prepared. He analyzed the Celtic game, the strengths really well. So I hope they haven't underestimated that team, because Kyra was really good in both games.
Yeah. But of course, they didn't have their star striker, the star front man, and their goalkeeper that second leg, which I think it made it even more likely that Celtic probably should have gone and got a result. But anyway, look, that's in the past. Some news coming through in the last sort of 10, 20 minutes now. Of course, all the Celtic fans want a striker, desperate for a new striker to arrive. Kasper Dolberg's the name mentioned, Anderlecht striker. There's a lot of talk that the deal was on and it's off now because he might be off to Ajax, and that will upset a few if that's the case. There's still a few hours left in the window, of course, but it does look like Celtic have just signed another player from Hammarby, a winger, a Tunisian international winger, Sebastian Tunekti, which is another deal which had kind of come and gone throughout the day, it looked. And apparently, going by some of the headlines now, another bid has been submitted, over £5 million now, and it looks like at the last ditch, last minute, if you like, that bid is accepted. So maybe a winger on the way, but the Celtic fans are still going to expect more. They're going to expect more.
They need one.
Still, yeah, go on, Al.
I'm just saying, you need a striker.
Yeah.
No doubt. If he goes like that, that is what they need. So they better hurry up. TikTok, time's running out.
And that's Stiliyan.
Alan, 11 o'clock. Don't worry, 11 o'clock is still
Stiliyan, it was obvious yesterday.
We need two, Darrell. Let's cut about the bush, because this goes back to January. Kyogo's left. Ida goes. You know, like, you talk about Dolberg, and it seems to me as if Dolberg has appeared. Like, you know what it's like? The media, people in the business, they get word of what's going on. Dolberg's name wasn't mentioned 2 weeks ago, and all of a sudden it crops up after the Kairat game, and you're thinking, never mind one, they need two, and they need wide players. And the player from Hammarby, I was talking to a couple of guys in Sweden that I know, and not being overly negative about things, but they were saying that their concern with him would be that at Hammarby, obviously, you have the ability to be able to, a couple of bad games, it's not going to be the end of the world, and they thought the pace of the Scottish game would perhaps be a little bit too much for him. So, well, we'll wait and see.
Yeah, I don't want to keep you forever, Stiliyan. Don't want to keep you forever, but what did you make of the...
I've got football.
Oh, exactly. I know you do. What did you...
You're still kicking people. Aye.
Yeah, Stiliyan, what did you make of the performance at Ibrox of Celtic?
Poor performance. I thought the game itself was really poor. But what I thought, the Rangers set up quite nicely in the middle of the park. They went man for man. They were trying to stop Callum McGregor, who haven't had the game that he always have, you know, influencing the game, dictating the game as well. But Rangers is just, in the last couple of games, they have shown a lot more aggressiveness than Celtic. And this is what we saw against Kairat, that any teams who comes and play football against Celtic, they kind of enjoy it because it suits their style. But everybody who's more aggressive and on the front foot, Celtic has find it really difficult to compete with. But we were talking about, the domestically. I do think Celtic, even in this shape now, they do have enough domestically, but it's about Europe as well. And Hut's played it as well. And, you know, you judge, people watch how you perform in Europe. And this is where Celtic have to strengthen to make sure they have a team for Europe and to continue to dominate domestically.
Especially after the highs of last season, of course, Stiliyan, and getting so close against Bayern Munich, not to get to go again in the Champions League. Such a blow to the Celtic fans. Just finally then with you, if you like, what about the midfield then? Because you mentioned Callum McGregor. I'm not sure he's completely found his feet, his best feet, if you like, this season so far. Arne Engels got to start the game. I saw real mixed reviews of Arne Engels from some of the Celtic fans, some of them saying he was absent, completely missing in the game, others saying he was by far and away one of the better performers in the day. Well, what do you make of the mix in the Celtic midfield and Arne Engels at the moment, and Nygren's played in there, then he's moved further forward?
Well, I'll start with Callum McGregor, your first question. I've played that position, and especially when the team is not doing well, position like that, and a player like Callum McGregor, you'll never see his game. Of course, his work rate is always there, his passing is always there, but he's not making the difference, something that he always do. But when the team is winning, when the team is scoring goals, that you can analyze that kind of position, that kind of player. That's why at the moment, everybody, him as a captain and a position he plays, the performance he's put in the last couple of years, of course you'll be questioned, but I'm not worried about Callum McGregor because he does have the quality to switch on, change it, and start playing well. With Engels, I like him. I know there's been a lot of negativity around him. I do think he tries way too hard to do too many things. I think he has to concentrate on what he does best. He's got what he does best. He's got the ability to get in the box. He's got a great strike. His timing is good when he gets in the box, but now he's trying to do everything. He tried to get on the ball. He tried to get wider. He tried to create. He tried pushing for too many things. He just has to relax and enjoy his football again, the way when he came to Celtic, because the sooner he came, the team was playing well, scoring goals, and he fitted quite well in the team structure. But at the moment, he's just pushing too hard and he's just trying to do too many things at once.
Okay, listen, Stan, brilliant. Thanks so much for coming on tonight. We got a good 17 minutes in with you then. I know you're off to football, so go and enjoy your football tonight, and hopefully we'll see you again soon, Stiliyan.
I love you guys. See you later. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
See you later.
What a guy.
What a guy, with it. One of the all-time nicest,
proper captain.
best people. Absolutely, and a great captain, wasn't he, Al?
Oh, proper. I mean, see, when we're talking about leaders and characters and the things that you need to drive your team forward, that's a guy that you would look to when the chips are down, and he would drag you through, and then everybody went to him. So there's a lot of teams out there missing people like that.
Yeah.
He's far too nice.
I was actually on work experience, would you believe, BBC Scotland, when he first came over to Scotland all those years ago. He was with another player as well. Was it Petkov or something? The two of them were meant to be signing. Stiliyan Petrov signed it. Honestly, from that first day onwards, he was just such a gent. I was only a young guy at the time. He was so nice. I was standing behind the scenes. I'll never forget it. And he's been like that every time I've ever met him or spoken to him since. He's a brilliant guy. Anyway.
He's too nice. He's too flaming nice. They're expecting better from him there.
I know.
See, when he gets angry and that, you'll know about it. Like he's a guy.
Darrell, you should have prodded him and got him angry. We'd have got a story out of him.
I just didn't feel it was the night for it, to be honest. There's too much. And Michael's bringing one of his mates on later. There's too much to get through. Right, listen, we've dealt with Celtic. I think we're all watching closely, because if they don't get a striker over the line, I think there's going to be anarchy and a bit of chaos. But there's a bit of time left, 11 o'clock. As for Rangers, look, just to, we rolled in the best of the highlights from the game, if you like, from yesterday. There wasn't many, and that absolutely summed it up. And there was no real Celtic opportunities. We didn't have any to show either. What do you make of the Rangers' performance, first of all, Al?
I think defensively was better. I mean, that's the biggest thing I can say, because there's been a lot of question marks. You look at the game on Wednesday, the defending was shocking. Like, there's no two ways about it. And I think you could see that Russell Martin had said to him what he wants from him. He wants everybody to be aggressive. He wants them to be tight to their marker, go and try and affect the game. He wants you to control it. He wants you to run and do all those things that you should do anyway, by the way. But it was noticeable. Man for man in the midfield, Asgard onto McGregor, don't allow him to play. The quality was not there. I mean, just for me, I just think defensively, you could see what he was trying to do. And that's
Rangers needed to win the game, Al.
They did. This was a bigger game for Rangers, 100%. I mean, it's been 4 draws. I mean, the worst start to a league since, 83 or something, I read somewhere. So, no, it's not ideal. But from what we've seen, especially on Wednesday, to that game where I was nervous going into it, I'm not going to lie. Just the way the whole mood at the camp was, Raskin training away himself. Obviously, Tav comes back and he's making big calls again. Miovski's first game. So just to see a little bit of positivity in the defensive side of it, which they desperately need, was a plus for me. The other side of it, you then need to be good going forward, and it wasn't there. But it's a work in progress, that is for sure.
You know, I've always got several questions for you, and I'll try and fire through a few of them. Right, the new owners were there. There was still a lot of booing. You heard at the end of the game directed at the manager as well. But behind the scenes, it sounds like the ownership want to stick with Russell Martin and give him an opportunity. How does this play out, Al?
Well, look, they're backing him. If you read the reports tonight, they're spending a lot of money in these last few hours. So that doesn't scream out to me that, by the way, we're going to get rid of the manager next week. Of course, results will dictate that. But I feel at this moment in time, and everything that Russell Martin said, that they're backing him. They see his plan working and coming to fruition. And they're going to give him the time, it looks like. But it's not been a good start. And the boos will be there. The only way you turn that round is by winning games.
Yeah,
That's simple as that.
It just feels like he's lost some of those fans, and whether they'll ever be back on side, who knows? Because it was quite toxic at times recently. And Miovski, you spoke about last week, started the game. Obviously had a small impact, but not many chances. Desser's finally off, Alan. It looks like that deal is going to go through. But as you say, Rangers seemingly spending money. I think Cortez is off to Spain on loan, so it's another one out the door. Derek Cornelius. Yeah. Derek Cornelius in from Marseille, left-sided centre-half. It looks like that one's going to go through. It's not definite yet. And obviously the big money, if you like, going on in Yusuf Shermiti, who is coming from Everton. Obviously, Kevin Thelwell knows him well. He spent the money on him prior. But he doesn't have a great goal-scoring record. And Rangers to go and splash £8 to £10 million. When I see a lot of the fans online, and there's already some messages coming in tonight, and people send me messages saying, for that kind of money, Rangers could have gone and got Cherney and Sima, for instance, this summer.
The mind boggles the Cherney decision. Like, the mind just boggles talking about Cherney. Michael brought it up the other week, and it was spot on. The deal was there. Get it done. He's your main man. He's in the building. That's it. Sorted. Anyway, he's not. And they're looking at new targets. Chermiti, as you said, he's a young guy. I think he's only like 21. He's had a difficult time down in Everton. He's not probably played as many games as he would like. He's had injuries. So there's room for improvement.
Do you worry when you see a deal like that? I know you're optimistic,
of course, absolutely.
But you're also concerned.
When was the last time they spent money like that? Tore Andre Flo. Yeah. How long ago was that? So, I mean, this is big money for Rangers. In a situation, in a moment in time where it's not going well, this is a guy that's going to have to come in and hit the ground running and start scoring. Miovski, I like him. I think he's proved to everybody that he could score goals in this league. He was in one day, and then he's been asked to play that game, and I thought he looked all right. He worked really hard. He'll get better as he gets to know his teammates and stuff. So, look, you just think, fingers crossed, that they've got the right guys that are coming into the building to help.
Look, for Miovski, for less than £3 million up front, and then obviously the add-ons, that is it's a no-brainer. Like
the other deals,
it's a no-brainer, Miovski. And by the way, just to flip it back to the other side of the city for a second, you say Celtic are desperate for strike. Why on earth they were not looking at Miovski for that sort of money is beyond me as well. So I think
they must have thought they had someone better up their sleeve, Michael.
Well, forget about one. I'm talking about the need two at least. Look, Brendan Rodgers said before the game yesterday when it was talking about Dahlberg, and he said, look, we still need another striker and people on the sides. So they need a lot of players. For Rangers, there's a lot of activity. Russell Martin, very bullish, very, very bullish, which, clearly he was bullish right after the Flaming game in Brugge. Yeah. He'd spoken to Patrick and Kevin and, very supportive. Andrew Kavanagh's been over, clearly getting, good vibes off of him as well. But as Alan said, ultimately, if you don't get results, the atmosphere around the club is going to be toxic. Now, it looks like some of the signings that they're bringing in certainly would be strengthening the team. But a lot of the guys they've brought in so far, as we've all said, they're not cutting the mustard so far.
No. We need to move on in a minute or so. Just a couple of things. Celtic obviously still linked with many players. Sekou Mara from Strasbourg. Both Rangers and Celtic still linked with Crystal Palace winger Jessurin Rak-Saki. I've seen him play before. Real talent on his day. Obviously, he's still quite raw. David Fofana, Chelsea striker, linked with a move to Celtic. I think that personally might be a great move. He's another young player with a load of talent. Let's see if it happens. Adam Ida, I think a lot of Celtic fans are happy if they get £7 million back in for Adam Ida. Michael, just for you then, Michel-Ange Balikwisha, his debut in the Old Firm game. What did you make of it?
A bit nondescript, to be honest. I mean, look, obviously, it's his first game. It's the toughest of games, going to Ibrox. But still, I would have liked to have seen from a new signing who obviously is going to be full of confidence because he's just had a big money move. That there was a few occasions, even early on, I think inside the first 5-10 minutes, the ball coming out to him, loads of space, go and try and take the full back on. And
who's not been playing, by the way.
Exactly.
You think of the Taverniers situation.
And he didn't even try. So, I mean, look, you can't, I'm not going to judge so far, but certainly from Celtic's perspective, they need guys that can make an impact in the final third. Yeah. And it didn't look as if he was blisteringly quick. Didn't look like he was overly eager to go and take the full back on, especially just in that game. And when you look at what else they've got, it's no wonder Brendan Rodgers came out and said that the game was lacking quality.
No, I know. And listen, we're spending so much time on Rangers and Celtic tonight because, of course, they've been linked with so many different players, and it's a big end of the window for both clubs. We will come to every other team in the top flight. We will get through it. Final one then, just on Rangers, Alan. It looks like Nico Raskin stays. You heard his name being sung all around Ibrox. This is a tough one now for Russell Martin because he's nailed his colours to the mast, if you like, but surely they have to wipe the slate clean and somehow find the right way to reintegrate him into his side. If they don't, Al, they've got a massive problem in their hands with a player running down a contract again.
Oh, it depends what's happened. I mean, he's the guy, isn't he? He's the one that you want to build the team round. So, I mean, if it's me and I'm in a situation, I'm sitting down with him and I'm saying, what's the problem? I mean, what's going on here? Tell me what you're thinking. This is what I'm wanting. There's obviously been some sort of breakdown behind the scenes because if everything's A-OK, he plays. And you're right, the fans are desperate for him to play. That kind of circus and the noise from outside just kind of gets ramped up because he's not there. And he's been asked the question, he's kind of batting it away. So, look, he'll go away, international duty, come back, and then it's about sitting down and how do we fix this? Because him, when he's playing at his top level, is one of the first names in the team for me. So they need to sort it out.
Hearts at Ibrox when they come back.
I know. And then Hibs.
Does he start? I'm just looking at that game. Does he start? Alan, do you like?
I would start.
I was sitting here right now. Do you think he will start against Hearts?
Probably not. Probably not.
If he goes and has a couple of man of the match performances for Belgium, by the way, it's going to put the pressure.
But if it was me, I would pick him. See the midfield. Actually, it was okay in terms of there wasn't mounds of quality. There was loads of endeavour and running about and harrying and chasing people. Things that you should have anyway from everybody. Like that's a given. You give that 110%, and then your quality shines through after that. So it was fine.
The thing is, last one, quick one, Michael, please.
I'm just going to say the point being that the Derby game, though, this is where the Hearts game coming up is massive because the Derby game, to a certain extent, it takes care of that. That side of it to a great extent. The next game, Hearts at home, big game, good challenge. It's another one of, right, are you capable of bringing that performance again? And
exactly, that's been the problem.
Huge game. So is Hibs, by the way, Premier Sports Cup quarter-final. Can't wait to watch that one live right off the back of that after the international break. So, right, we must move on. We'll have to fire through some of these games, Michael. Livy Hearts from Saturday. Good result in the end for the Jambos. Got there in the end. New signing, as you, performing pretty well as well. Looks like an exciting player, Michael. What did you make of this match overall, and how important was it for Hearts to get over the line?
Well, I think it was a match that was pretty much what you would expect. Livy very competitive, not a great goal for Hearts to concede at all, and Hearts were a little bit lacklustre in the first half in terms of never really looked that dangerous.
That was a big moment, by the way. 2-0 would have been tough. Yeah,
it would have been. And then obviously substitutes at half time, change of system. Kazaridis in particular coming on and having a real impact. Great finish from Braga. And then this one, not so great from Braga.
How much better are they in a 4 though? Right, Mikey, when they go to a 4?
Yeah, but Hearts, the big problem is they've not got one of you. They've not got a right back. That is the crux of it for Hearts at the moment. They don't
see what happens tonight. Brilliant finish, by the way, Kazaridis.
Absolutely top drawer finish. And it's a huge win. I mean, the thing for Hearts is at the moment, it's not like they're playing free-flowing, scintillating football, but there's clear that there's quality there. There's a little bit of a lack of understanding of what's the best team because this right back's an issue. Nobody play right back or right wing back. But what it shows you is Derek McInnes and that squad, they've got unbelievable, grit, determination, will to win, and they find a way. And he's got options to come off the bench to change things as well. So once Hearts find a right back and they find a little bit of a flow to their game, they're in a very, very good place, I've got to say.
Quick fire then. What do you think of the record signing from Santa Clara?
Well, you just need to listen to what Derek McInnes was saying.
Yeah.
A Rolls Royce. He's never been as excited about signing a player since James Maddison for Spurs.
No pressure then.
And he actually said, I don't want to put pressure on the boy, but I'm going to. He says, because he can do everything.
The question is, Michael, can he play right back? And a goalkeeper. and a goalkeeper in as well, Michael Alexander.
As my old man like to say, the question is, can he keep it up for 10?
Right, okay. Right, lovely. Another goalkeeper was needed, I suppose, and one that's come in Alexander Shvolov, who's got loads of experience, by the way. Maybe they needed that. I mean, I know they've got Craig Gordon, but he's not available at the moment, so maybe they needed that.
Yes, I think so. I think, it's... I mean, look, at the moment, what it appears to me is that Tony Bloom, Jamestown, and the board that are there, they're almost front-loading the investment here. And eventually what you'll see is that there'll be a natural sort of just drifting away of guys that are in the periphery that are not going to be getting games. I mean, I think already they're talking about today, Vargas and Drama look like they're going to be, out the door. Not particularly good additions, I've got to be honest, even when they were there previously. But the squad is getting greater investment, more players coming in. So it's a very big squad at the moment, which in itself might cause problems for the manager just managing those players that are not playing. But naturally, you're going to start to see quite a few of them drifting.
Yeah, and we'll see if there's a rabbit up the hat, if you like, for the end of the window tonight. We'll see if another player can arrive. Motherwell Kilmarnock, Alan, 2-2 at the weekend. Both teams still undefeated. We've discussed Motherwell quite a lot because we had their manager on the programme, first game of the season. I mean, I think the fans quite enjoyed the fact that even at 2-1 up, and I know there's clearly a goalkeeping mistake, they were still going for the jugular.
But that's how they play. I thought some of the stuff and the way they moved the ball was excellent. But look, Kilmarnock went there with a plan, and it was to sit back and try and frustrate, not allow them. It was not the little ball round the corner for Watson, but try not give them space like this to run into and play the type of football that they want to. And it was about hitting them in the counter-attack. But when you watch Motherwell, I mean, I really like what they do. I really like how they play. They're so confident when they do it in such a short
that boy Longello could score a goal too.
Longello, was it 4 or something he scored already?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, yeah.
The problem with me is when they do turn over the ball, they can be a little bit open. So it's about getting that balance. Callum Ward there, he'll know that he's made a big mistake. Stanger just at the back post just to put it down. That's not a foul for me. I know people were talking about it, but not for me. But yeah, I really like what I've seen for Motherwell under Askew so far. I think it's probably just about getting a little bit of a balance. But look, we're only 3-4 games into a season. I think they'll get better. Yes, they've conceded 6 and they've scored 6, which is the scoring side is all right. But I think with the chances that they create, if they had a real somebody that's just going to put the ball in the net, midfielders that can also contribute as well, I think they'd be in a very, very good place.
Yeah, you look at Darrell, the goalkeeper there, Ward. That's a real bad one. And then you think back to last week at Tynecastle as well. So, like in all seriousness, talk about the top end of the park, and understandably so, putting the ball in the net. If the keeper, and by the way, they're not difficult, they're really bad mistakes. All of a sudden, you've got 4 extra points there, and it's 2 wins. It's a sore one for Motherwell.
Still, fans are on board, and I think that's the key thing. They've signed. They've signed Regan Charles-Cook. They've signed the Australian midfielder Oscar Priestman, and apparently Stephen Welsh incoming from Celtic as well tonight, Michael. I think that could be a really good bit of business for Motherwell.
Very good. I mean, and by the way, really, really good to see as well, because obviously he's a young Scottish centre half that's not had a great deal of game time, and he really does need to start playing. And if Motherwell have brought him in, I've got to say that's It's a really good bit of business.
I think there was talk of Kofi Bammer moving out, so maybe that's the replacement coming in. We'll see. That's the talk tonight anyway. Right, we must move on because, of course, the Dundee Derby was live in Premier Sports, and Michael's got a good pal, right, who's ready to come on this show. He's a really incredibly talented writer for TV shows as well, but he's a massive tangerine. He's a massive, and he goes everywhere, by the way, with United, Vienna most recently. Neil Forsyth. Michael, any other introduction just when we bring Neil on the show? Anything else you want to big your mate up?
Neil is possibly one of the funny. He actually looks like he's come from Stiliyan Petrov's house. He's got the same background there. Neil will be able to introduce himself. He did a speech at his wedding, which usurped his brother, who was his best man. Not an easy act to follow.
To be honest, Neil, I'm just surprised Michael's got a friend.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't categorise it as that.
Yeah, any stories about him?
Any stories you
Definitely.
can tell?
Stay on at the end and we can cover them all.
I'm better at Neil at chess. So there you go. There's a story.
He's better than someone at something. That's great.
I actually once beat Mikey at a game of two-touch on a five-a-side Astro pitch in New York. I beat him quite comfortably in the game of two-touch. I think he was still playing professionally at the time.
That's not true.
None of us, Neil, are surprised at that. The only surprising thing, you two will be gallivanting in New York. Shocking. Right, you must be pretty happy at the moment because it's always nice to win a derby, isn't it?
Yeah, it was brilliant. Well, I think it was a strange game, really. I watched it and it was just comfortable, much more comfortable than you'd usually find with a Dundee derby. We had a great finish there from Satsford. I just thought we were, I never felt in great danger. It took a while to get the second goal, but it was for a derby, it was a remarkably comfortable watch, I thought.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a nut start to the season, hasn't it? Because European football so close in Vienna, and I believe you were there.
Yeah, I was in Luxembourg and Vienna. It was fantastic. It was, Luxembourg was a great trip, good fun, but they were fairly, we should have won that match and possibly should have won it even more comfortably, but it was good to get over the line. But, really fun trip. But then Vienna was just fantastic.
Was there any chaos there, by the way? Michael's smiling there because he tells me
he's got a cheesy grin there for some reason.
What can you not tell us? What happened, Neil, in Vienna?
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember, which is the first clue. But no, Luxembourg, I think, Mikey, you might have enjoyed at the end of the game because I got a flurry of texts from people because I was having a chat with Davy Bowman on the touchline at the end of the game, and a lot of my pals enjoyed that. But Vienna was brilliant. I thought that the performance of Vienna was honestly like one of our old, European glory nights in terms of hitting them in the break and with a bit of pace. And it just kind of came from nowhere. It was Sapsford's finish was outstanding, I thought, Brilliant. In the first goal as well.
The recruitment actually, Neil, looks really good again, doesn't it? It's not easy to continue, not to completely rebuild, but to rip up the form book, if you like, and sign that number of players and integrate them so quickly. Last season was excellent, but it looks like Jim Goodwin's found some real quality in the market again.
Yeah, it is hard when you're signing that many players every year for lots of reasons, for the team and for the fans and the connection and things. But I thought we just seemed to recruit really, really well. I thought it took them a few games to get going, but I think Sapsford looks outstanding. Kamara in the middle, I think, is brilliant. Hesselink at the back seems to kind of win pretty much everything in the air. But I think we've still got players who are kind of finding their feet a little bit. I think Fata, if you look at Fata's pedigree, you've got to hope he's going to kind of really come through. I particularly hope he does because I'm sponsoring his kit this year. And my record in kit sponsorship is unbelievable. It's the kiss of death, basically.
No.
So you obviously haven't sponsored.
Pretty much ended a couple of careers in the last few years.
You've obviously not sponsored Dolchek then.
No. He looks great. But I thought in terms of the season for United, I thought that it was such an important game because now you look at the start of the season and it feels pretty successful, really. Yeah. But weirdly, I think if we'd lost on Sunday, I think it could have, it would have started to hard to get away with the fact that ultimately we went out of Europe on penalties. We're already out the League Cup and a Dundee Derby defeat. I think that would have been a bit difficult to take, even with all the new players. But if you look at it now, I thought we did, to go out in penalties as a lottery, to take Rapid Vienna to that stage, the difference in budgets and things was fantastic. So I think if you ask United fans, 2 great Euro trips and a Dundee Derby victory, they'd be more than happy.
It's all about trying to get them again now, isn't it? I mean, what are your hopes for the season based on what you've seen so far from the squad? Can they go again, do you think, and really finish that high up the table?
I think so. I mean, you kind of hope for top 6, obviously, but then it's easy to get greedy, and I think you just love to try and sneak into Europe again one way or another. But I don't see why not. I mean, I think that I don't know what the coefficient situation is this year. Is 5th place still possible for European qualification?
Is it?
5th is, but it's just there's a lot more games that obviously need to be, qualifying rounds to get through. Yeah, which I'll be. Look, I think that's probably where Dundee United would be aiming to get to, because Hearts and Hibs are looking strong this season. But no doubt, if they get through the qualifiers next year, Neil will be tagging along and making sure he gets involved in the trips.
Yeah. No, listen,
I need to ask you. Neil is the writer of the Gold that's out at the moment. Jack Loudon, is he a football fan?
Yeah, Jack's a football fan. I think his local team is Broxburn Athletic, I'm pretty sure.
Who's he? Surely not. Surely he's got another team he supports, no?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him. I wouldn't want to paint him with the wrong brush, but he's from the border, so probably, I don't know, Hibs must be the next closest, but I wouldn't want to speak for Jack. You what, sorry?
Oibrel Alba.
Yes, well, he's got. Well, I better not say, but he does have a place in Scotland as well. But I wonder if that would be his new team. But he's definitely a big football fan, a good player by all accounts. Although I think that's largely by his accounts. I'd have to check that. But he's a good guy, good actor. And surely the next Bond as well. Is what I always say about Loudon.
You never know. We'll have to get him on another week. The only thing we know for sure, Neil, is he'd also beat Michael at 2-touch in New York. That's the
I think you would, Darrell. You would as well.
I can barely walk these days, Al.
Exactly. And you'd still beat him.
No doubt. Right, Neil, listen.
I've got to say something. Do you know what Neil's self-proclaimed nickname is?
Go on.
Pele. Self-proclaimed nickname.
Hang on. That's not self-proclaimed. That was hard-earned on the under-12 football pitches of Dundee in the late 80s. Not my words.
You must have been decent, mate, to get Pele in Dundee. Right, anyway, listen, Neil, I'm going to let you go because we're about to talk about Dundee, and I can only imagine if we keep you on for that part, it'll all be negative. So we'll let you go on a high note. Thanks so much. Great to see you. Good to chat to you. Good luck as well, whatever you're writing next. So good man. Cheers, Neil.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Right, on to Dundee then. He's a good man, obviously, Neil, for coming on the show. Big tangerine. On to Dundee then. We've talked a lot about Stephen Presley, the start of the season, everything else. There's some questions. So disappointed with Dundee, or a point coming in here anyway. I've watched us concede 6 goals twice. Still think that could be the worst I've seen them play in a derby. Absolutely no intensity, etc. In that point coming in. Obviously, they need an injection, if you like, from somewhere. Some new players coming in. Simon Murray was cast adrift at times. Alan, where's the root of the problem, do you think there?
They're so focused on what they do defensively that I think Simon Murray ends up isolated. He started coming so deep to try and get the ball, which was making it worse. So when they did have it, there was no out ball, there was no nothing. And I just think when you look at the games so far, they've played 4 games? I think they've had 5 shots on target in 4 games. Right? So that kind of tells you where they are at this moment in time.
They did play well at Ibrox. I know everyone does at the moment.
But what you need to have, come on now, Darrell, you need to understand that how he sets up for that game at Ibrox is acceptable. To play for set plays, to get the ball forward, that's fine. You look at the derby, the last one in March, how good that was. Dundee were amazing, pressing, aggressive, winning the ball, hitting the counter-attack with pace. There was none of that. I'm genuinely watching it thinking, right, come on, spark yourselves into life. This is a derby. Do something. Make a tackle. Just do something to get yourselves going. But look, good day for Dundee United. I thought they were excellent. They had the players that was going to make the difference, and they got the goals when it counted. But I worry for Dundee and everything at this moment. The style, what they're doing, they're very defensive, and I do worry for them this season. At this moment in time.
Little
I thought
transfer
he was
update. Looks like Adam Ida's move to Swansea is gone through. Initial £6 million, could rise to 7. Still talk of Dundee bringing in Ryan Jack, Alan, which you look, if Ryan Jack's fit and he's ready to play, he could be a great addition, couldn't he?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think him coming in there with the experience and everything that it comes with that is a good thing. But they need something. They need something that's going to.
That's not going to help. That's not going to help.
They need something that's going to connect everything together. Who can be that kind of spark going forward? He's good in midfield. He's creative. I think they need something that can connect the whole team, because at the moment they're just a defensive unit.
Let's see what
that's how I see it.
Who made his debut yesterday, I thought was good for Dundee. Lots of energy, but as Alan's saying, that's not the concern. It's the ability to be able to go and attack, and just the willingness and having the right balance in the team. Just didn't seem like they've got enough, attacking intent, threat, desire, sort of structure to go and attack. And you can understand why. The Dundee fan was just saying there that it was one of the most sort of disappointing performances in the derby from them.
Yeah. Got to get more out of Simon Murray, that's for sure. We know what he can do if he gets the service. Right, just moving on now. Aberdeen Falkirk. I'll come to the game in just a second, but the Dons fans are absolutely delighted tonight because Michael Kevin Nisbet is back in Scotland. And I'm just looking at the headlines here, and if this is correct, I just think this is a great bit of business. But the talk is that Aberdeen have paid to get him on a permanent deal and at least a 3-year contract signed. £300,000, Michael.
Incredible. That's right. Yeah, certainly. I mean, they'll be having to pay a fair, pretty penny in wages, I would imagine. But I mean, it's at the stage for Aberdeen where they are so desperate for, a striker to put the ball in the back of the net. Obviously, Lazetic as well. We've not seen him yet.
No.
To make an appearance, but I mean, look, let's be honest. There was periods last season when it wasn't really happening for Kevin Nisbet.
When he was picking up his fitness, he said himself, when he was finding his way.
But what I was going to say was that even taking that into consideration, Kevin Nisbet for 300 grand on a permanent deal, when you are in the situation Aberdeen are in, that is good business, because Big Yengi is not looking. I mean, again, the game at the weekend there's a few moments where there was one early on, the ball comes over the top. I know he was effectively offside and then takes the touch.
I know.
Really nicely, but it just looks like he's slow to get his feet set to be able to get the strike away. And you just worry that that's never going to happen, especially when you look at last season, and he didn't score last season either. So
I know
Nisbet was a must, really, to get in. And Aberdeen have got to start, they've got to start picking up points, because, no points, no goals, out of Europe, and on the back of last season, which I think it's something like 5 wins and 31 or something like that now, league games. That's concerning.
Yeah, I agreed. I mean, look, what a result for Falkirk, by the way. First win back in the top flight, Alan, for 15 years now. It really sets them on their way. But for the Dons, just because we'll come to Falkirk in a moment, the Dons needed something, a spark. So this transfer news will help some of their fans tonight who are maybe watching on and chatting as well among themselves about, what this season could bring. Because the losing streak in the league isn't ideal. But look, it's some positivity for them, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Michael summed up well there. They're desperate for somebody who can put the ball in the back of the net. They've not scored as of yet, which is a huge worry moving forward, bottom of the league. And the situation they went through last season, you think of that big run where they couldn't buy a win, and like it starts to come back into your mind and everything that's went on with that. I know they've got new players, but still, so they need something. And I actually thought they started the game well.
Yeah, they had loads of chances.
I think Jimmy Tilleen's been listening to this because he's went with Michael's midfield. So, but I thought they were always wanting to play the ball forward and get onto things. They just don't have that killer instinct when the ball gets in front of goal. And I think that's the thing. Keskinen, I really like him as a player. I think he does well. He's wanting to take his fullback on, but it's just that sometimes the last little bit, it's the final pass, it's slowing down in a moment and just picking somebody out. And the big turning point for me was the sending off. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's what absolutely changed.
What did you think?
Michael fell over tackles at this point. I thought it was awful aggressive. It's because it's so high up the leg. Remember, it happened. It was Kelly, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was the last season. And we spoke about it.
It was Motherwell against Kelly.
Yeah, and we spoke about it at the VAR, at the refs meeting at the start of the season as well. And I just think because of the aggression's there, you've caught them up really high. It's right. I think it is right.
Michael?
But that was a turning point.
Yeah.
Do you know, I think that one's worse than the one last season at Rugby Park. But for me, that one's right on the border. It's on the cusp. And the fact that the ref had yellow carded him, I
Do you think just get on with it because he yellow carded him? Like,
I think it probably could have just stayed as it is, rather than VAR intervening and getting involved to send him off. I think it's on the cusp. Had the referee red carded him, then likewise, I don't think VAR would have got involved and downgraded it. I think it's right on the cusp because he does follow through with a wee bit of force, but I just think that yellow card initially from the ref, I think they could have left it at that.
Yeah, tough start to the season, obviously, for the Dons. I watched them in Europe, and look, I was a wee bit disappointed when they went down to 10 men. They slightly fell apart, and it was similar-ish. I know it was off the back of a European game, similar-ish against Falkirk. Clarkson maybe trying to overplay, gives the ball away, leads to a goal. They have to be better in those big moments. They've got a pretty tough draw as well in the Conference League. Looking at some of the games, Shakhtar Donetsk and Strasbourg and Sparta Prague and AEK Athens among the teams. Some great games for the fans to look forward to, but some tough ones as well. But just on Falkirk, Al, great win for them. And you know, that now looks like when you see the sort of points return, that's a good start to the season.
Absolutely, going into the first international break, sitting where they are at this moment in time. And I just like how they play, how they approach it. They don't change for anybody. They've got a style, they stick to it. And it's good to see that the teams coming up are willing to go and have a try at it and make a fist of it. So I'm looking forward to see how they get on in terms of like over the course of the season. But so far, so good. And I think all the fans will be more than happy where they're sitting at this moment in time.
Absolutely. Wilson just in the door from Swansea and scored the goal that made the difference. So we'll see if they do anything else tonight. I know John McGlynn is looking
there, Darrell.
Yeah.
Somebody's picking up, and I've misspoken. I wasn't meaning that Aberdeen were out of Europe. I was just meaning out of that tie. Of course,
against FCSB.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. They were hoping.
You're too clever for that, Michael. You're too clever for that.
Thanks,
we knew what you meant. Yeah.
We were with you somewhat all of the way. Right, final game. We've only got a few minutes left. Hibs against St Mirren. Stephen Robinson was on last week. Absolutely outstanding. Oh, here's Kieran Adam, who's ready for a VAR debate. Yes. Let's have it then. Let's have it, Kieran. Hibs St Mirren. We'll get to VAR. We had Stephen Robinson on last week. I know that they could have had more points this season, but their fixtures have been so tough. This is another good point on their travels. Hibs as well, off the back of European agony again. Michael, I actually had the trouble of having to listen to you on the radio during the week and listening to Hibs. If the Martin Boyle shot flies in, it's a different story. Hibs are celebrating one of their great European nights. It's the fine margins, but there was a lot of positives. Miguel Chaiba, the goal, the way he's playing. 5 changes against St Mirren. The squad, as we've said before, is looking pretty strong. There's a lot to like. I don't think Eli Ewan is going to be leaving to Legia. I've just seen some of the headlines tonight. It looks like he actually might be staying now. Maybe Legia actually watched the game back and realised that he probably wasn't the answer.
Oh, my goodness.
Come on. And that was you on the radio. I was just taking notes from. Lyndon Dykes, though, still potentially a move to Hibs. So there's a lot going on. We'll deal with the game. We'll watch the highlights as well as it goes through.
First of all, Darrell, tell everybody where you were listening to. I don't think you'll be alone. I think a lot of people will resonate with them.
I was, I have to try and get to my bed, relatively early these days.
You were listening to me as you were trying to go to sleep.
10:30. It was 10:30, and I was looking for something to help me nod off, Al. So I put Michael's voice on the radio.
And then boom. You didn't hear any of the game.
I had to check the score the next morning. Didn't even know they were out. Anyway, European. I thought Hibs were excellent at times. But anyway, look, let's get to the game, Michael. A point in the end each, which you'd say maybe a fair result. But then again, when you talk about VAR and the handball, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I mean, Hibs had a lot of chances that they if they take their chances, they see the game out comfortably. But well, I say comfortably. It's never comfortable against St Mirren because St Mirren are always in the game. There's a perfect example of one of them. Junior Hoylett. You're expecting him to be able to score that. Obviously, David Gray wasn't particularly happy with this, saying that one of the players were offside and they'd blocked.
I can see what he means.
Aye, but I don't think there's enough in that. No. I think there's lots of bodies. It's not as if it's just a direct, block like you see at a corner kick sort of thing. No. I think
didn't impact the game, the block that he's talking about, potentially.
I think there's enough mitigation in there for it not to have been disallowed. So I can understand that. Another great ball in from McGrath, and they get the goal from it. But I just think that Hanley clearing it off the line. I think that obviously the biggest talking point is this
one
at the end of the game.
Some save.
It's unbelievable. Now, my thoughts on it. Handballs at times, right? That they're very, very harsh when handballs given a lot of the time. But Richardson there, I just think to myself, it actually looks like he's trying to push the ball away.
It does, aye.
I can't believe that that's not been given. That, to me, is a penalty kick. And I'm normally, on the other side, a lot of sympathy for defenders. But as he's coming across, even before he starts to stretch for it, his arm is up quite high up here. And then he tries to almost like push the ball away. I'm astonished that VAR did not give that.
As am I. Al, I don't know what's a handball anymore.
That's a handball for me.
I've got no idea what decision VAR or the referees are going to come to.
Oh, honestly, I just think Richardson, he's up here and he's as if he's trying to bat it away. As soon as I seen it, I was like, that's a penalty. It wasn't given. And then the best angle is the one that we've seen at the end there, where you get a right good look at it. It's definitely a penalty for me. And yeah, they've got away with that one there.
Yeah, they have. Just to see, by the way, just some transfer updates. I mentioned Adam Ida, obviously, is now gone. It looks like Kasper Dolberg has actually fully now accepted the deal from Ajax. Looks like he's heading to Ajax, not Celtic. Celtic apparently are moving on with other targets, so that's the talk anyway.
I'm not being funny. This really could be a turning point for Celtic in regards to the way that they do business. I mean, look, I saw something online. I'm just going to quickly sort of give you this.
I've got a couple of promos to do, so go fast.
Really quick. These are statements from the last 5 managers. 2 of obviously Brendan Rodgers. You can go right back to Ronnie Dyler when he says, "We had players we wanted to bring in, but things take too long. Negotiations drag. And by the time we get them, the market's moved on." Then Brendan, the first time around, "We have a recruitment model here. I can only work within that. We identify the players we want, but there's often a delay in negotiations. And by the time the deal goes through, the market's moved on." Frustrating. Neil Lennon, "There's a lot that we wanted to do in the summer, but the financial reality and the club strategy meant you can't always be as quick as you'd like. Sometimes it feels like the process is too slow. Ange, maybe I wasn't clear enough. I don't know. I think I've been pretty consistent in saying we need more players in. Obviously, I haven't done a good enough job convincing people we need to bring people in. I'm not going to shy away from it. I've tried to be as forceful as I can. Brendan, we are clear on what we need to improve, and for whatever reason, we haven't been able to. There is only so many ways I can dress it up that we don't have the players here. It's pretty clear." And they're now hours away from the window, and it looks like this could be chickens coming home to roost for Celtic.
There has to be a striker, at least one that the fans are happy with tonight, you'd imagine, or a lot is going to be said. There's going to be a lot of anger coming from the stands after the international break as well. So we'll see what happens. Right, just a few things to tell you. Of course, we've got a lot of games coming. You can see some promos coming up in the bottom of the screen. First of all, this weekend, KDM Evolution Trophy. It's the first game in Premier Sports from that competition. Alloa against Celtic B. That's coming Saturday, 3 p.m, I believe, right after the international break. We're at Easter Road live Saturday, 13th September, which should be a really good game, by the way. Hibs against Dundee United there. Then all of this the following weekend again, the Premier Sports Cup quarterfinals, all 4 live matches, either on the Premier Sports Player or live in TV. The TV games are Rangers against Hibs, That's the Saturday, and the Sunday's Partick Thistle against Celtic. So much to come. Thanks again to our sponsors, SPK. Good luck to Scotland away at Denmark and Belarus. Let's hope the next time we're all speaking, we're saying really well done to Scotland, but good luck to them anyway. Michael, there you go. Look, just a few seconds to go before the hour. We're going to get it on the telly. Michael, Alan, thank you very much. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time after the international break. Bye for now.